Hold up for a second. Picture this. It's Wednesday afternoon, July 15th, right in the heart of Makati City. The doors to the Glorietta Activity Center are about to swing open, and inside that building, a 21-year-old left-hander is preparing to step out and face an entire nation. You might be asking yourself, does Alex have other hobbies? Well, she doesn't really have other sports hobbies. But what you are about to witness is history in the making. And let me tell you, the crowd is expected to absolutely lose their minds the moment she walks through those doors. This is the exact moment Globe Telecom has been building toward for months. But to truly understand why a mall atrium in the middle of the Philippines is about to become the loudest, most electric room in the tennis world, we need to hit the rewind button. We need to go back 11 days to the precise instant when Alexa stopped being just a rising star from the Philippines and became a global figure that the sport simply cannot look away from anymore. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe. This channel is built specifically for the people who are watching Eala long before Maria Sharapova called her a star. Let's break down the timeline because it moves faster than a serve on grass. 9 days ago, Eala lost a heartbreaking round of 16 match at Wimbledon to Jasmine Paolini in 3 grueling sets. Just 2 days after that defeat, on July 7th, she opened Instagram and posted a heartfelt message thanking the Filipino fans who had carried her through that incredible run. Then, just 48 hours later, on July 9th, Globe Telecom announced Home Court, the Eala meet and greet experience. It's a public homecoming at the Glorietta Activity Center with access gated strictly through the Globe One app program, starting at 6 p.m. sharp. Think about that transition from the crushing heartbreak of London to a massive homecoming celebration. That is 72 hours of corporate machinery moving at lightning speed, and it all started with a match on center court that no one in the Philippines will ever forget. Now here is where the story gets interesting. The tension here isn't about a rival player. It's not about some off-court scandal or drama. The tension is pure emotional weight, and frankly, it is crushing. You have a 21-year-old woman who is being asked to fly all the way home from London, walk into a Makati mall that is packed shoulder to shoulder with fans, smile for the cameras, take the microphone, and serve as the center of a national celebration before she has even had the chance to properly grieve a loss that ended her Wimbledon dream less than 10 days earlier. Remember, she led the second set against Paolini. She forced a decider that she just couldn't quite close out. And now she has exactly 12 days between this event at Glorietta and her flight to Washington for the Mubadala DC Open, where she has to switch gears and become a competitor again. That gives her 9 days to grieve, 0 days to catch her breath, and in between all of that, an entire country waiting for her in an atrium. That is the collision at the very center of this story. And Globe Telecom, whether they intended to create this pressure cooker or not, has built the stage on which it all plays out. Let's start with the sheer speed of this operation. Eala lost to Paolini on July 6th. By July 9th, just 2 working days later, Globe Telecom pushed the announcement live across Facebook, Instagram, and their Ateneo Globe handle on X. Free access, but the Globe One app is required, with registration opening at 4 p.m. and the program starting at 6 p.m. That is not a reaction. That is a contingency plan that was sitting in a drawer, ready to go, waiting for the exact moment her Wimbledon run ended. Now look at the venue choice. In July 2025, Globe hosted Eala at the Globe Tower in Bonifacio Global City, which was an invite-only exclusive corporate setting. But 1 year later, they moved her to a public mall atrium in the busiest commercial district in Metro Manila. That is not just a schedule tweak. That is a massive corporate confidence vote. Globe is betting big that Eala can pull a general public audience off the street on a random Wednesday evening. Then there is the access mechanism, which is genius if you think about it. Every single attendee must download the Globe One app to secure a slot. Put yourself in that decision room for a second. A telecommunications company just turned a fan meet and greet into a customer acquisition funnel simply because they know the demand exists to justify it. This is what it looks like when a national fan base becomes corporate infrastructure. And every one of those strategic decisions traces back to a single afternoon, July 4th on center court, when Eala beat the defending Wimbledon champion Beatriz Haddad-Maia in straight sets 7-6, 6-2. Within hours, Maria Sharapova called her a star on Instagram. Billie Jean King met her in person and referenced Pinoy pride. Catherine, Princess of Wales, even posed for a photograph with her courtside. In one single afternoon, Eala walked off a tennis court and stepped into a completely different category of global recognition. The pattern here is unmistakable. First Miami earlier this year, then a semifinal run in Berlin after upsetting Rybakina and Svitolina, then a WTA 125 title in Birmingham, and finally the round of 16 at Wimbledon.
This is not a spike in popularity. This is a curve, a steady climb, and every corporate partner she has is trying to catch up to it in real time. Which brings us to the number that Filipino fans have been quietly noticing for months. I'm talking about the ones who bought in early, who watched Eastbourne last year, who stayed up for 3 a.m. matches, and who never needed a Grand Slam highlight reel to know what she was capable of. You saw this coming. The rest of the tennis world is just arriving now. Globe Telecom is arriving now, and a mall atrium in Makati is where all of that arrival converges on July 15th. Here is the detail that makes the Glorietta event singular and unique. According to Philstar, this is Eala's only significant public appearance between her Wimbledon exit and the Mubadala DC Open on July 27th. One event, one window, one evening between London and Washington, where Filipino fans get to look their tennis hero in the eye before the US hardcourt swing pulls her back into the grind of competition. Consider who has now publicly stamped Alex Eala's name with their approval. We are talking about a 5-time Grand Slam champion, a former world number 1, a Wimbledon champion at 17, and one of the most globally recognized tennis figures of the 21st century. And the detail that makes this weightier than any other endorsement in the sport? She is the exact player a young Alex once pointed to as her idol. Maria Sharapova posted on Instagram within hours of that win against Haddad Maia, just 2 words, a star. That is the endorsement that reframes everything. In a coronation narrative, the person who crowns the hero has to be the person the hero once dreamed of becoming. Sharapova is that person. And when a player of her stature makes that call within 24 hours of a center court upset, she is not just offering encouragement, she is transferring a lineage. The Glorietta event on July 15th is what that transfer looks like when it lands in a home country that has been waiting for permission to celebrate at this scale. Now, zoom out for a second. The Philippines has produced world champions in boxing, in pool, in volleyball, but never in tennis at a Grand Slam level until now. And every serious Filipino sports fan knows the phrase that used to describe Manny Pacquiao at the peak of his career, the pride of the Philippines. That title is now being informally passed to a 21-year-old left-hander from Quezon City, and Globe Telecom hosting a public mall event is the corporate ratification of that transfer. Which is why what happens next matters far beyond one evening in Makati. Eala flies to Washington for the Mubadala DC Open on July 27th. From there, it's Cincinnati, then the Canadian Open in Toronto, and finally, the US Open in Flushing Meadows on August 30th. That is 4 tournaments across 5 weeks, and every single one of them is now being watched by a fan base that grew by an order of magnitude on July 4th. The Front Office Sports headline said it plainly. Alex has become one of the biggest draws in tennis. A mall atrium in Makati is on to be the smallest room she plays in for the rest of her career. Everything after Glorietta is arenas, and she carries something into that room with her. On July 6th, Paolini closed her out 6-3 in the 3rd set. On July 7th, Eala opened Instagram and posted a message to her supporters. Not a message about the loss, but a message thanking the fans who filled the London stands with Philippine flags. That was her response. Not a press conference speech about mental toughness, not a statement about revenge tours, but a gratitude post to the people who never stopped showing up. 9 days later, those same people are the ones getting off work early, downloading the Globe One app, and heading to Glorietta. The heartbreak has not been processed in isolation. It's being processed in public, together, in a country that decided a long time ago that her career was their career. Rewind the tape one more time. July 4th, center court, Maria Sharapova posting the words, a star. July 6th, Paolini closing out the 3rd